with Kim, a meeting of the minds, and we're going to discuss SMART goals. So here's the scenario. You get that notification that you're having a PPT, you get that big procedural safeguard, and then you go to the meeting and you get a bunch of proposed IEP objectives and goals, and it all is confusing. So SMART goals stands for specific, measurable, attainable, result-oriented, and time-bound, which is super technical. So basically, Kim, can you tell us what that means for parents?
Sure. So your IEP goals need to be specific to your child based on your present levels of performance. So your child's goals and objectives should be driven by the present levels of performance page in the IEP. So these two things kind of mesh together. They have to. If there's a weakness on that present levels page, there has to be a goal to address it.
Mm-hmm.
So very specific goals. Your goals should be written so that your child can reach them. The law says substantial progress. The law says your child, your child is allowed and should have access to attain these goals and make substantial growth. Not just little bits, substantial.
Right. And now that's what comes into that is really my favorite part, the evaluation. I love the reading evaluation. And when I write IEP goals, I use that to, to pinpoint exactly what we're working on, to make sure that we meet all these strengths and weaknesses in appropriate time frame.
Right.
I know
your testing should be on that present levels of performance page. So, parents should be able to go to that one page and they should be able to see all the scores, as well as any important anecdotal information about their child's performance.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a grid and it's listed performance, strengths, and weaknesses. So it should be very easy to follow.
Right. I think you need an evaluation that is comprehensive, and you get these goals that are very specific, and the objectives and goals all have to just push these kids forward and propel these kids. And I know, like professionally, we both can write goals. Personally, when you get the goals on the parent end and your kid gets a U or a satisfactory or not introduced, it gets like completely confusing. And I think that's where progress monitoring comes in. Exactly. And I think that, we have to use the progress monitoring piece to make sure our kids are making growth.
One of the things that I recommend to parents when we're talking about progress is that every time you get the IEP and the progress is reported, so every time you get a report card, you get a progress report on your child's IEP, look at the data. So you can look at one page, one reporting to the next, and then you should be able to see that there's growth. So if your child was doing something at 65% in January, by April, you're going to hope to see that that's not 65% anymore, that they're able to do it more often.
So if it's higher, but if it's lower, then you could rewrite. You could rewrite an IEP goal at any time. There should never, in my opinion, there should never be a U. And unsatisfactory. You shouldn't get to 7 months of growth and then say, oh, there's a U and what happened. That goal should be rewritten as a team.
Professionally, it's my job if someone is not meeting goals or we're not making adequate progress, that I then have to say, hey, we have some red flags. We have to come back as a team and talk about these. I need to modify the goal and I need to modify the approach.
Yeah, it's definitely. It helps so much. The other thing, like you and I talk, and we talk a little bit before this, as a reading consultant, and I have serviced so many kids with dyslexia, and now my youngster has trouble reading. I don't ever want to see a sight word goal. I don't care. You're not teaching a kid, how to read by memorizing sight words. And then I also don't necessarily want to see an oral reading fluency goal, which is how many words they can read per minute if it's not linked to the questions, if it's not linked to some understanding. So some goals are very easy for us as professionals to measure, but don't translate into my kid's going to turn out to be a college level reader. and love reading for the rest of his life. So even though we are held and bound to write SMART goals, just because we write them doesn't mean that they propel our kid forward into being like adults, like to do their own taxes and whatever.
Right. Sometimes you'll see goals like, will increase reading fluency or will increase math skills. That's not a SMART goal. A SMART goal has certain criteria that have to be in it. And it has to have all of those attributes in order to be a SMART goal.
So it's like, I feel like, we had this conversation planned, and now at the end of it, I still feel more confused than when we started it. We're supposed to be helping parents. This goal thing is tricky.
It is very tricky.
So like now, is there a rule of thumb or something that we can give parents to just really remember? I know you and I are going back to that acronym, like just remember the acronym and kind of like use keywords to make it relevant to you, right?
Yeah, I think you just need to remember that there should be a time frame on your goal and there should be criteria. X number of times or a percentage. You need a criteria for how that's going to be mastered and ask for the data. So say, how will this be measured? How will you look for the data? I think data is something that is often so overlooked. And as parents, I think we have to start asking for it more. And that's accountability.
Right. And we're not like looking for unicorns. We're not looking for magical data. We're looking for realistic. We're talking about kids with uneven learning profiles, and it's okay. They're not always going to master every single goal, but being honest and open and saying, these are the factors that led to this, or this is why this happened, is where we get trust and respect, and we work together as a team.
Absolutely. And it's okay. I mean, as a professional, it's okay for me to go back to the table and say, listen, I overshot this goal, or it just wasn't appropriate. I want to change it. I want to tweak it. What do you think? Right. That's a fabulous conversation to have with a parent, because not only am I getting it right, but I'm helping them be a part of this process and helping me understand their kiddo.
Yeah, and honesty is the best policy. We're not writing goals to dot all our I's and cross all our T's. We're writing goals to support students, to support living.
Right. And it's okay to come back to the table and say, this didn't work.
Right.
We have to what do we need to do differently?
Right.
And that's okay.
So if you don't feel like you could trust your team and you feel like you need help with SMART goals, or you have more questions, they can always reach out to both of us.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I think together we have enough experience as professionals, as parents, to help other parents navigate these kind of things.
Right.
And if we don't, we always say, oh, I don't know, let's ask him, or let's ask each other, right?
We know lots of people too.
Yeah, definitely. It takes a village, to raise kids. And we've all been through this. We've all been through the confusion surrounding having kids that struggle, with uneven learning profiles, and just hashing these things out and getting a better picture of SMART goals and accommodations and all of these things is just helpful.
Absolutely.
So again, I totally appreciate your time.
I love being here.
I know. I think it's marvelous. We get to spend time together. We have our Dunkin' again. Everybody runs on Dunkin'. This is what fuels us. And I think, so if any parents have any questions, you could show up with your Dunkin' too.
Absolutely.
And ask us, okay? So that's about it. I guess next time for topic Tuesday, I don't know, we'll probably talk about IEEs or procedural safeguards, present levels of performances. If you have anything else that you'd like us to talk about, just drop it down here in the comments, and we are here for you. All right. Thank you, guys.